The Rosewood Bistro was Mom's favorite restaurant. Floor-to-ceiling windows, white tablecloths, fresh flowers on every table, and a brunch menu that cost more than most people's weekly groceries. She'd chosen it specifically for her 55th birthday celebration. Intimate, elegant, exclusive. I arrived 10 minutes early as always. The hostess greeted me warmly. "Good morning, Ms. Morrison. Your table is ready. Should I seat you now or would you prefer to wait for your family?" "I'll wait," I said, standing near the entrance. My brother Tyler arrived next with his wife Jennifer. He was wearing a suit that probably cost $3,000, custom-tailored with cufflinks that caught the morning light. Jennifer had a new designer bag. I recognized it from the fashion magazine I'd flipped through at the dentist's office. $6,000. "Sophia," Tyler said, barely glancing at me. "You're actually on time for once." "Happy birthday to Mom," I replied. "Yes, well, Jennifer and I have a surprise for her. We're taking her to Paris next month. First class, 5-star hotels, private tours. She's going to love it." He said it loud enough for the hostess to hear. Tyler always needed an audience. Mom and Dad arrived together, Mom wearing a cream-colored dress and pearls. She smiled when she saw us. "Pie babies. All here for my special day." I hugged her. "Happy birthday, Mom." "Thank you, sweetheart." "Oh, Tyler, Jennifer. You look stunning as always." We were seated at a table by the window. The server, a young woman named Diane who I'd known for 6 months, brought menus and mimosas. "So, Sophia," Mom said once we'd ordered. "How's the apartment? Still in that little place downtown?" "It's fine," I said. "Comfortable." Tyler laughed. "Comfortable. That's one word for it. I drove past your building last month. It's practically falling apart." "It's an older building," I said quietly. "Older is generous. It's ancient." Tyler sipped his mimosa. "You know, Sophia, at some point you need to think about building equity. You're 28 and you've never owned anything. You're just throwing money away on rent." "Tyler," Mom said gently, "not everyone can afford." "I'm not judging," Tyler interrupted, though he clearly was. "I'm being realistic. Look at Jennifer and me. We bought our house when I was 26. Now it's worth 3 times what we paid. That's called financial planning." Jennifer nodded enthusiastically. "We're actually looking at investment properties now. Tyler thinks we should buy a rental building. Generate passive income." "That's wonderful," Mom said. Dad, who'd been quiet, finally spoke up. "Sophia, your brother has a point. You're not getting any younger. Have you thought about your future? About stability?" "I think about it every day," I said. "Well, thinking isn't enough," Dad replied. "You need action. Tyler's willing to help you, you know. He could talk to his financial advisor. Help you get on the right track." "I'm doing fine, Dad." Tyler laughed again, that condescending sound I'd heard my entire life. "Fine. That's Sophia's favorite word. Everything's always fine. Never great. Never excellent. Just fine." The appetizers arrived. Smoked salmon, avocado toast, fruit platters. Mom redirected the conversation to her upcoming trip to Paris, and I was grateful for the distraction. But Tyler wasn't done. Halfway through the main course, eggs Benedict and Belgian waffles, he turned to Mom. "You know what's sad? Sophia's going to be 30 soon and she'll still be renting. Still living paycheck to paycheck. Some people just don't have what it takes to build real wealth." "Tyler," Mom said, uncomfortable now. "It's my birthday. Let's not." "I'm not trying to be mean, Mom. I'm trying to help her understand reality." He looked at me directly. "Sophia, you need to hear this. You'll never own anything. You don't have the discipline, the vision, or frankly, the income. You work in, what is it again? Administrative support. Property management," I said. "Right. Property management. Which is basically a fancy way of saying you fix toilets and collect rent for someone else." He cut into his eggs. "That's not a career. That's a job. There's a difference." Jennifer chimed in. "Tyler's just worried about you, Sophia. We all are. You're still renting at 28. No house. No car worth mentioning. No investments. It's concerning." Dad nodded. "She's right. When I was your age, I already had my first house and a solid investment portfolio." "Times were different then," I said softly. "Times are always different," Tyler shot back. That's just an excuse. Successful people adapt. Unsuccessful people make excuses. Which one are you, Sophia? I set down my fork. Took a breath. Tyler, can I ask you something? Sure. How much do you think this building is worth? The Rosewood Bistro. He looked confused by the question. I don't know. It's prime real estate. Downtown location. Probably 3 million? Maybe 4. Try 6, I said. 6 million to be exact. Tyler shrugged. Hey. So. Just curious about your eye for property values, I said, picking up my water glass. He frowned but didn't respond. Mom smiled, trying to lighten the mood. Well, regardless of real estate prices, I'm just happy to have my family here. That's all that matters to me. Tyler, Jennifer, thank you again for the Paris trip. And Sophia, honey, just having you here is gift enough. The implication was clear. Tyler gave expensive presents. I gave my presents. One was valuable. The other was just something. We ordered dessert, chocolate mousse for Mom, creme brulee for Tyler and Jennifer. I ordered coffee black. That's when Tyler really got started. You know what the problem is, Sophia? You don't dream big enough. You settle. You've always settled. Remember when we were kids? I wanted to be a CEO. You wanted to be a teacher. I aimed high. You aimed comfortable. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher, Mom said. Of course not, Tyler agreed quickly. But Sophia didn't even do that. She ended up in property management. Managing other people's properties because she can't afford her own. Tyler, that's enough, Dad said, but there was no force behind it. I'm just being honest, Dad. Someone needs to tell her the truth. She's almost 30 with nothing to show for it. No assets. No equity. No future. She'll be renting forever, probably moving from one rundown apartment to another, never building anything real. Jennifer placed her hand on Tyler's arm. Honey, maybe. No, Jennifer. She needs to hear this. I've watched my sister waste her potential for years. It's frustrating. Mom and Dad raised us to be successful and I honored that. Sophia didn't. The table went silent. Other diners glanced our way. Mom looked mortified. Dad studied his dessert plate. Jennifer suddenly found her phone very interesting. I felt that familiar sensation. The heat in my chest, the tightness in my throat. The feeling of being small, being less than, being the disappointing daughter. But this time something was different. This time I'd planned ahead. I caught Diane's eye across the restaurant. She nodded and disappeared into the back office. You're right, Tyler, I said calmly. I don't own a house like you do. I don't drive a luxury car. I don't wear expensive suits. Exactly, Tyler said, satisfied. I'm glad you're finally. I own 6 buildings, I continued. He stopped mid-sentence. What? 6 commercial properties in this city. 3 apartment complexes, 2 mixed-use buildings and 1 restaurant. I sipped my coffee. Total portfolio value, approximately $18.7 million. Tyler laughed, but it sounded uncertain. That's ridiculous. You're making that up. Am I? Diane returned, carrying a large manila envelope. She approached our table with professional grace. Ms. Morrison, I have the documents you requested. I took the envelope. Thank you, Diane. Mom looked confused. Sophia, what's this? I opened the envelope and pulled out the first document. A property deed. This is the deed to 447 Madison Street. The building I supposedly live in. The one that's practically falling apart, according to Tyler. I slid it across the table. Tyler picked it up, his face going pale as he read. Owner, Sophia Catherine Morrison. Purchase date, March 2021. Purchase price, $2.1 million. That's... Tyler's voice faltered. That's not possible. It's a 12-unit apartment building, I said. I bought it when I was 24. Renovated 6 units myself. The other 6 I contracted out. Current rental income, $22,000 per month. After expenses, that's about $156,000 annual profit. Jennifer grabbed the document from Tyler. Her mouth fell open. I pulled out the second deed. This is 892 Riverside Avenue. 8-unit complex. Purchased 2 years ago for $1.8 million. Fully renovated. Currently generates $18,000 monthly. Dad took this one, reading it carefully. His hands were shaking. This is 1205 Grant Street, I continued, pulling out the third document. Mixed-use building. Commercial space on the ground floor, apartments above. Purchased 18 months ago. The commercial tenant pays $8,000 monthly. The apartments generate another $15,000. Mom's eyes were filling with tears. Sophia. I don't understand. When did you? I started small, I said. Right after college. Everyone thought I was wasting my degree in business administration. But I was learning. I got my real estate license. Worked for a property management company for 2 years, learning everything I could. Then I saved every penny from my salary and bought a small duplex. One I could barely afford. I pulled out another document. That duplex is now worth 3 times what I paid. I used the equity to buy the next property. Then the next. Then the next. Tyler finally found his voice. This is insane. You're saying you own millions of dollars in real estate? You. Yes, me. The sister who settled. The one who doesn't dream big enough. I pulled out the 5th document. This is 332 Brookline Plaza. Mixed use. 4 commercial spaces, 12 residential units. Purchased last year for $3.2 million. Jennifer was crying now. Actual tears. But you dress like you drive that old. I drive a 2015 Honda because it's paid off and reliable. I dress simply because I spend my days managing properties, meeting with contractors and working on renovations. I don't need designer clothes to do my job. I pulled out the final document. The one I'd been saving. And this, I said slowly, is 1847 Westbrook Avenue. Mom gasped. That's this address. Yes. I placed the deed in the center of the table. I own the Rosewood Bistro. The building, the business, everything. I bought it 8 months ago for $6.2 million. The table erupted. Tyler, that's impossible. Jennifer, oh my God. Dad, Sophia, how? Mom just stared at me, tears streaming down her face. The previous owner wanted to retire, I explained. I made him an offer. All cash. He accepted. I've been working with the management team to renovate and expand. That's why I knew Diane. That's why the hostess greeted me by name. That's why I could request these documents be ready for today. I looked at Tyler directly. You're eating your birthday brunch in my restaurant. At my table. Drinking my wine. Celebrating in my building. And you've spent the last hour telling me I'll never own anything. Tyler's face had gone from pale to red. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, I said quietly. 3 years ago I invited you all to dinner to share my success. Tyler, you canceled because you had a golf game. Mom, you said you were too busy with your charity committee. Dad, you forgot entirely. So I stopped trying. But why keep it secret? Mom asked. Why let us think you were struggling? I wasn't keeping it secret. I just stopped talking about it because none of you ever asked. Every conversation was about Tyler's achievements, Tyler's house, Tyler's success. There was never room for mine. I gathered the documents and put them back in the envelope. For the record, my portfolio is worth $18.7 million. After mortgages and expenses, my net worth is approximately $7.3 million. I employ 14 people directly and my properties house over 90 families. I've created something real, something sustainable, something I'm proud of. Dad's voice was barely a whisper. We had no idea. No, you didn't. Because you never looked. I stood up. Diane will bring the bill. Don't worry about it. It's on the house. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope you enjoy Paris. Sophia, wait, Mom said, reaching for my hand. Please don't leave like this. I'm not leaving angry, Mom. I'm just done being invisible. I pulled my hand back gently. You raised 2 successful children. You just only celebrated one of them. Tyler finally spoke, his voice hoarse. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. That's the problem, Tyler. You didn't know because you didn't care to know. You were so busy announcing your success that you never noticed mine. I picked up my bag. For the record, your house? The one worth 3 times what you paid? I looked it up. You bought it for $480,000. It's now worth about $620,000. That's a $140,000 gain over 4 years. My first duplex? Bought for $340,000, now worth $1.1 million. That's a $760,000 gain in the same time frame. Jennifer was openly sobbing now. I'm not telling you this to hurt you, I said. I'm telling you this because you need to understand that success doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's humble. Sometimes it wears old jeans and drives a Honda. I looked at each of them. I love you, all of you, but I don't need your validation anymore. I stopped needing it the day I bought my first property and realized I was building something you'd never see because you'd already decided I wasn't worth looking at. I walked toward the exit. The entire restaurant was quiet, everyone having witnessed the conversation. As I reached the door, I heard Mom call out, "Sophia." I turned. She was standing at the table, mascara streaked, hands shaking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I nodded. "I know, Mom. Happy birthday." I walked out of the Rosewood Bistro, my bistro, and got into my paid-off Honda. My phone was already buzzing with texts. "Tyler, we need to talk. Please. Jennifer, I feel sick. I'm so sorry for what I said. Dad, I'm proud of you, Sophia. I should have said that years ago." And one from Mom, "Can we start over? Really start over? I want to know my daughter. The real one. Not the one I invented in my head." I sat in my car for a long moment looking at that last message. 3 years ago that text would have meant everything to me. Today it just meant they finally saw what had been there all along. I replied, "I'm having lunch at my Riverside property tomorrow. Noon. If you want to see what I've built, you're welcome to come. Just you, Mom. No Tyler. No Dad. Just us." She responded immediately, "I'll be there. Thank you." I drove home, to my 12-unit building that was supposedly falling apart, and walked through the lobby I'd personally renovated. Hardwood floors I'd refinished. Light fixtures I'd installed. Crown molding I'd learned to cut and hang from YouTube videos. My apartment was on the top floor. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen with marble countertops and a view of the city skyline. I designed every inch of it myself. I poured a glass of wine and stood on my balcony, looking out at the city I'd invested in. Somewhere out there, Tyler was probably still at the Rosewood trying to process what had just happened. Jennifer was probably researching my properties online, confirming what I'd said. Dad was probably feeling guilty. Mom was probably crying. But I wasn't angry anymore. I'd stopped being angry the day I realized that their inability to see me wasn't my failure. It was theirs. And I didn't need them to acknowledge my success for it to be real. The buildings were real. The tenants were real. The $7.3 million was real. Their opinion of me had never been part of the equation. It just took them 28 years to figure that out. And a birthday brunch in a restaurant they didn't know their daughter owned. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's building something so undeniable that their denial becomes irrelevant. I own that. And 6 buildings. And one very satisfied life.